Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Final Whistle. We're back. This time I have Derek here. Yaga supposed to be joining us in a few, so we'll add him in when he comes in. But Derek, this is kind of like an emergency meeting. This morning I woke up. Actually, funny story. I woke up in the middle of the night, because I always do to go to the bathroom or whatnot, and I checked my phone and I had a Twitter notification that had nothing to do with the Lampard situation. So I looked it up. It had something to do with stocks and stuff. So I looked it up and I see the next tweet underneath it. It says they were complaining. There's this Chelsea fan channel that I follow on Twitter that were complaining about timing. So I'm like, what's going on? I go down and 10 minutes ago, some reporter had broken the news that Lampard is going to get fired. This is 5 a.m. 5 a.m. in the morning.
Eastern.
And, yeah, like in the morning over like New York time. And then 3 hours later, the news broke that Chelsea has actually let Lampard go. I was surprised. I'm sure he was also surprised because I think we wouldn't be as surprised if it was done after the Leicester game. But the fact that they gave him another game, they actually won the FA Cup game, albeit against a second division team. Just give me your thoughts on. I mean, we spoke last time about it briefly, and you kind of gave some explanation.
Yeah.
Give your thoughts about what do you make of this decision, and what do you think what do you think about firstly the timing and what the reasoning behind it was?
Yeah. I guess overall, we all felt that Lampard was underperforming, and so at some point, Abramovich was going to, raise his axe of death and then just cancel this guy out. But and then again, as Chelsea fans, we always kind of felt that, club legend, we grew attached to him, for so many years. And so it was harder for us to actually say Lamb's out, in spite of the fact that he wasn't performing the way that we would have expected him to perform. And of course, there are other surrounding circumstances that make it so. But then again, as he kept losing some of these big games and then things kept, kind of dragging on. You remember from the last episode I had mentioned that I think that if he lost the Leicester game and we lost another game in addition to that, then maybe that would be the end. That's in my mind, at least I felt that would happen. And so lost the Leicester game, won the other game, and I was like, well. So it was a surprise that it happened at this time, but I knew it was going to happen sooner than later if it continued the way it was going to continue. The only thing that surprised me was I felt no matter how bad things got, they were still going to stick to the club legend and at least let him finish the season before they take any decision on him. But I guess
I didn't feel like that because you and I both know they've let a lot of legends go.
Yeah. So, well, were they club legends though?
Yes, I mean Di Matteo's a club legend, and Mourinho's a club legend.
I'm talking about players. So Di Matteo, yes, him for sure.
I mean, he isn't on the level of Lampard, but the guy won the Champions League. Like
Yeah. I think I have a soft spot for Lampard and probably the same for every Chelsea fan, So when I saw it this morning, I was like, yeah, okay, it's happened, let's move on type of thing. It's sad, but yeah, the club is bigger than a manager, is bigger than a player. So if that's the decision they've taken, and Chelsea never goes wrong with their sacking and stuff like that. Usually something good comes out of it.
I spoke with Ibn, our other big Chelsea fan, that Ibn always thinks nobody has more hope in Chelsea than Ibn. He always feels like this team is good. So let's see what he has to say about the situation.
So honestly speaking, I wasn't surprised with Lampard getting sacked. I expected the news to actually come out against Leicester after that game. But we didn't hear the news, so I was hopeful thinking that he's going to be given the opportunity to finish the season, and maybe at the end of the season we'll part ways with him. But at the same time, I was being optimistic, as you always call Mr. O.
That's true.
In this,
Always optimistic, yeah.
Yeah, I was being optimistic in the sense that if Lampard was given the opportunity to finish the season last year with a young squad, and now he's now trying to figure things out, why not allow him to be there to whenever he figure himself out? And I honestly thought that this would have been the time for Chelsea to just put a stamp like, hey, we have a permanent manager. He's one of us, and he's going to remain with us to whenever. Something like the Feggy story. But looking at today's football, I don't think most clubs do have the patience to tolerate that. Here's a team where we are built on winning championships. Here's a team where we are built on investing a lot of money. So you would automatically expect to have returns on the money that you have invested. Especially with Frank Lampard spending 222 million pounds alone on players. You would think that finishing fourth last season, there would be a transformation with the new players added on, right? So again, regardless of COVID or whatever, I still think the decision was kind of brutal, but hey, we know that's how Abramovich runs. He's very relentless. He doesn't really care. Like if he's not getting the results, he just does what he feels.
He's not getting the return on his investment.
Correct.
He's just a businessman, right?
Exactly.
You invest into something, you expect returns, and yeah.
So final verdict, I'm indifferent about it. I'm not really bothered in the sense that I feel like Lampard served the club well to his best of his ability. We knew that he was an amateur coach when we did appoint him, so there wasn't much to expect. And again, tactically, he was developing. I mean, don't get me wrong. We spoke about him not having a plan B and everything. But again, if you do gain the experience over time, that's when you do develop your options in terms of tactic. You can contrast the season or this few months against his first full season in charge. You can tell that there is a difference. There is a difference because he had in season number 1, he had a squad that he had no other choice but to use them and play them. Season number 2, he has too many options. He doesn't know how to put it together. So I feel like in season number 2, he should have been given more time, maybe even finish the season. And whatever happens at the end of the season, if you're going to call it as a breakup relationship between you and Lampard, just let it be. But now, midpoint of the season, you're bringing in a new coach, new philosophy. How are the players going to be able to gel to it? How are they going to adapt to the new style of football to the end of the season and probably translate it from that end of the season to a new season? I don't know. But I'm just hoping for the best Chelsea Football Club. I just don't want this to be, I told you this before, I just don't want our club to be like a revolving door for coaches because it's just pathetic. Every season or two, we have to hear this news. And it's just, I just don't know. I just don't know how to do with it. Is it translating to success? At some point, yes, it does. But it still takes out the most important ingredient from our football club, meaning that we don't have identity. We don't have identity because we keep having a revolving door for coaches.
Okay, so as you can see, it seems like Ibn shares the same sentiment with you. We weren't surprised about the situation, but it seems we kind of knew it was going to happen. But my thing is, I feel like I think they gave Lampard everything to succeed, I feel like.
Correct.
Right. We spent 220 million pounds in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We spent money like it was a regular year, right?
Yeah.
So when they was signing that kind of money, they gave him every single thing he wanted. We came up here and we were excited. We couldn't believe how many signings that we were making. And it seems like the indication that Abramovich was sending to Lampard and the team was, this is a team that I do not necessarily think they were expecting him to win the league, but he has to challenge for it.
Correct.
And then the following year, challenge and actually try to win the league. Right? Yeah. If we had finished third, I think if we were in the mix, fourth or third right now, he wouldn't be fired.
Yeah,
I don't think he wouldn't be fired because they understand it's a new team.
That's probably 2 or 3 wins from all the losses we've had.
Exactly, right? But it seems like, from my point of view, the reason why I think they let him go is the way that we were playing recently, there was no bright spot. I just didn't think the team was playing like if there was anything that we can say that, oh, things are looking on the up. That Leicester game was brutal, Derek. I'm not, like, it was such a bad game. It was a very bad game that I think that signaled. If we had played that game and we looked promising and maybe got unlucky and maybe lost.
Yeah.
I just think that they had no. And it's not something that is just new. It has been happening where we're struggling.
Yeah.
So I just think they looked at the situation. Lampard does not have a history of winning, so he kind of, because one thing that he always get is the benefit of the doubt because he's the club legend. Just like all of us fans, we love the guy. For me, he's one of the, if you ask me, he's the greatest midfielder of all time. I know there's a lot of players, but he's such a unique talent that we all have respect for him. But in this kind of like situation, you kind of have to look at things objectively and kind of always look at things without the feelings. If you make a decision with your heart, you're always going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Right? And I always said that the way that Chelsea were playing, if it was any other manager, we would be pushing them to leave because we know it's a new team, Derek. We know it's a new team, but they have to be playing much better than what they are.
I had said earlier, I think every Chelsea fan has a soft spot for Lampard. Mm-hmm. But if we're being honest, if it was any other manager, we would have started shouting, for them to get kicked out for sure. We would have started doing that a long time ago.
I think the job was too big for him too early. It came to him at the wrong time in his career. The guy had 1 year there in actually coaching. He hadn't even coached a Premier League team. He was in a Champions League.
Yeah.
So the player, the level of players, the attention, the kind of expectation are low compared to what they put himself into. Like,
what do you say about Guardiola, Solskjaer,
but Solskjaer had, remember, before Solskjaer came to United, he had experience coaching other teams. Like, he had coached Cardiff before. Remember, he was a Cardiff coach.
How long had he been a coach? I thought he had also been a coach for a year or two.
No, he was coaching Molde in the Norwegian team.
Okay.
It's not the size of United, but he had Premier League experience coaching Cardiff. He had much more experience. And also, the reason why United took so long before they taken off is because he doesn't have that kind of experience. So he's actually learning on the job, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, if they had fired Solskjaer, we wouldn't be surprised, right? Because he hadn't done as good of a job as we expected. But it's a learning step. But as both of us know,
Guardiola though, or how about
Guardiola? It seems like he was born into that system. He was an assistant coach for a long time. Derek, Lampard has never been a coach. He was actually Guardiola was an assistant coach when Mourinho was at Barcelona in the 90s. Like, this guy has been, he has been. Obviously, it doesn't work for everybody, but it just. I feel bad for the guy because I feel like the job was too much for him too early. I feel like it was a job for him too early, and I just think he needs to take a step back, get a job in kind of like one of those mid-tier teams, or maybe go back in Championship, build a team up, and then kind of build his.
And then assistant manager like John Terry,
exactly,
a Premiership team, and build his career.
I mean, get Yaga in, and the reason why I wanted Yaga in this is because we're fans, so we're looking at it at the lens of a fan.
Correct.
Like, I'm never gonna criticize. It hurts me to criticize Lampard because we all know what he's done for us. But Yaga, the way that the results were going and the way that Chelsea was playing, as a neutral, you're a United fan, you have no stock in this. As a neutral of how Chelsea, and you say you saw the game against Leicester when we played.
Yeah.
You saw the games against Leicester. You saw against Luton. I mean, you've seen some Chelsea games. Was it the right decision to let him go? Because Chelsea weren't looking any better than they should have, or was this something where we should have given him time to kind of like figure it out?
In my honest opinion, I think you guys should have given him time because You would think that the way first of all you guys signed him with no transfer, whatever, right? You couldn't make transfers at that point in time. That was last season.
Yep.
You would think that, okay, I mean, let's give this guy the job. Let's just change the Chelsea policy of sacking managers that do not, take the team to the right direction. You get what I'm saying? You would just think automatically, okay, Lampard has signed. That's what we all thought when he took the job. Because mind you, from Derby County, going straight to Chelsea, we all thought, okay, listen, now Chelsea wouldn't be doing it regular, which is sacking managers. Because mind you, Abramovich has sacked about 16 managers since he took over. That is insane. So we all didn't think this will happen to Lampard at this stage. We thought he would be given time, being that he signed the players that he wanted to sign and all that. At least you would think you guys would have given by the end of the season. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because in football, it's business, and as a manager, you have to win. You have to win. Your results show, at the end of the day. So I feel like, from a business standpoint, I do understand why Chelsea would do that. But to be honest with you, I just feel bad because I think he was just getting to a stage whereby, the progression was just going to be better. You know what I'm trying to say? Comparing him to Ole, similar situation.
Yes, but Derek, I'm sorry, but guy, Ole did not spend $220 million in a transfer window. The money that the board gave Lampard, they gave him every single thing. That indicated that we want to. I don't think they expected, like I was telling Derek before, I don't think they expected him to win the league, but they expected him to be in the mix.
Okay, but the season is not over. Chelsea is not even far from that.
Yeah, but I think
we're actually 10 points from the top. I checked.
Yes, but we are also 5 points from 13. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There is nothing that was showing that Chelsea would recover from this.
Correct.
Because
correct.
just like how
we hadn't turned the corner.
We're 5 points from 4th, we're also 5 points from 12, right? And before we have 29 points. We have 29 points halfway through the season. Right? That is not good. But I do not see, I honestly didn't see any good thing coming from keeping him going because the performance were not good. I do not see why letting Lampard go and getting a new coach would change the fortunes of Chelsea.
Exactly.
It can only get better from here. It can only get better from here. It can also get worse, but from the way that we're going, you cannot tell me that if Lampard had the job, we can guarantee 4th. You can't guarantee that. We can also not guarantee if we bring in a new manager.
Exactly.
I mean, at least if Lampard stayed, we would know that we're not hitting the reset button, right? Because with a new manager, it's the reset button. We have to go through the emotions of sticking. Really, because I feel so. Jeff, let's put it this way: if we brought in a manager, right, and then from his first 5 games he loses 4, and then wins 1, are we gonna say he's new? We have to give him a chance to settle. Is that what we're gonna say?
Well, yeah, we're not
or are we gonna say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say it's almost like we've hit the reset button. Because anybody who comes in, we have to give him the chance before we take any decision on him. And when I say we, I mean the board and who has to decide if the manager stays or not. But with Lampard, it's almost like, well, he had something in motion. It wasn't working, but at least we know that he had taps on something. So we just wait and see when we turn the corner. That's kind of how I think about it.
Yaga said 16 managers. And before you go, Yaga, Lampard has been there for like 15 of them. He knows how this thing goes, right? He knows how this thing goes. And he's seen managers come and go in his career that were not performing. So he knew the pressures. Every interview, he said that he knew the pressures of the job. And that hurts him. I did not think he expected that kind of time. I'm telling you guys, I do not think the board were expecting Chelsea to win the league. But they did not expect Chelsea to be ninth.
Yeah.
No, I get that whole point. I do get it. Now, my question here is, listen, okay, you claim, because I was comparing to Ole, right? And you said Ole never had a transfer window like that. That is true. But Ole never had a whole transfer whereby he couldn't sign any player. Every time Ole has been there, he signed players. So Ole has been there for over 2 years. So now if you combine, the previous season and this season, is almost equivalent to the same amount Lampard spent.
Yeah, but Yaga, remember, before the transfer, we were talking about how many signings United did not make. Ole never got his signings like Lampard did, guys.
I mean, yes, that's true. I get that. But all I'm saying is you don't expect a coach to sign 5 different players and expect the team to just gel like that. We all knew this when you guys signed the players. We all knew it. We were thinking, okay, listen, you signed top quality players, so the gelling might be much easier.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always happen like that in the English Premier. Like, it doesn't happen like that. So I get it. Yeah, he signed the players he wanted, but 5 players. It's always going to be difficult for anybody.
So Yaga, what you're saying is based on the fact that he didn't have at least a season to work with that team.
That's what I was expecting.
Okay.
But you know what? I also retort to that, and I kind of want to keep this conversation going. That's why I'm getting back because I don't want us to all agree on one thing. I kind of want to get the other part of it. I think the board did not see the way that Lampard's team were playing. And I just don't think that they saw that this team could improve the way that Lampard's tactics were going. It's not about the players gelling. I think they looked at the totality of how the team was playing recently, and they looked at it like, this is not really going well, right?
I do understand.
And I think that if you take that, it doesn't matter how many players are gelling or whatnot. The way that Chelsea is playing, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. So if they take that role, right, the only way that this can be fixed is you change the manager and bring another idea in. And I think that's why they made the decision, right?
And let's be honest, I'm not surprised with the decision Chelsea has made. I'm not.
Well, I don't think any of us are, yeah.
No, I'm not surprised. It's just, first of all, I do feel sad for Lampard. But listen.
We all do.
Are
you not feeling sad for him?
I mean, listen, because I don't know if you watched it. Guardiola was interviewed about Lampard's whatever. You know what he said?
Really?
How you felt about Lampard being said. He said, being the manager, it's all about the results. That's what he said. He said, if you don't produce, you'll be sacked.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If you don't produce, you'll be sacked. And I don't think, for any club, Chelsea definitely will sack you.
Yes.
We all get it. Yeah. A lot of people were saying, why did he take the job too early? You're not going to say no to Chelsea. If Chelsea comes to me right now, I'm not going to say, I'm not. So you can't blame Lampard for taking the job because people are saying, Gerrard went to, he started here, then he went to Rangers.
Yeah, because Liverpool pushed him. Yeah.
Liverpool never pushed him. You can't say no to Chelsea. So people stop blaming him. I think he will become a better manager.